For about a year now, I've been trying to find the best way in which I can become the best version of myself, be that socially, academically, or athletically. And I keep running into the same phrase of hard, consistent work. Being a teenager, this sounds like hard, consistent work. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm okay on that. So I tried to look for a more practical, something a little easier. So I went ahead and asked all my teachers what they thought. And my chemistry teacher brought me to Dr. Andrew Galpin's podcasts on Spotify, which I totally recommend, specifically those on sleep. While I was listening to them, something really struck me as important. He said that sleep is the closest thing we have to immortality. And this was very striking to me, not because it highlights that sleep is the only period in which our body really regenerates, but because it compares sleep to a superpower, one that each and every one of us here has. Good evening, everyone. Today we'll be looking at sleep through the lens of performance optimization, how we can turn sleep from a necessity to a tool that we can all use to achieve that best performance. So let me set the scene. I'm a basketball guy, so I will be using basketball statistics. And I want to look specifically at a player called Stephen Curry. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him before, but he is the greatest three-point shooter of all time. He has the most scored 3 points, and currently at 3,177. That's the last time I checked. It's probably more by now. But he has a career average of about 42%. And when you compare this to someone that also plays the same position, it's around 35%. So keep this in mind. A 6 or 7% difference between an average player and the best player of all time. Now, think of your own athletic feats. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be athletic, but your hobbies, something you really love to do. What if I told you that I can do magic, and that I can make you 1, 2, or if I really like you, 3% better at whatever you're thinking of, just like that, no catch. I just snap my fingers. Would any of you ask me to do so? Okay, so for whoever said yes, please see me afterwards and don't forget to bring your wallets. But those who are a bit skeptical, you'd be happy to hear that there's actually a totally free way in which you can achieve similar results. All you need is a flat surface and a pillow. A Stanford sleep study conducted across 2 Division I, so highest level athletics in sports, asked participants to sleep from 6 to 9 hours every night for 2 weeks. So this is considered regular sleep. And during this period, the basketball players were asked to take 15 three-point shots every day after each practice. So 5 shots from 3 different spots on the court. Then a percentage was calculated, so this was their baseline three-point percentage. After these 2 weeks, they were then asked to extend their sleep by about an hour. So they had a goal of 10 hours of sleep every night. After the season ended, so both seasons, after the season ended, they were asked to do a final trial. And on average, the whole team, so not just one player, but the whole team, didn't score 1, not 2, and not even 3% better, but a whole 10% better in their three-point percentage. I listened to this statistic while I was at home, and the next day I had a game. Best believe I was in bed by 8:30 that night, and I was fast asleep by 10. So this goes to show you that sleep can really impact our performance. I'm not saying that it's the only thing that does. Of course, you must work on something while you're awake, but sleep acts kind of like compound interest. I'm sure there's many bankers of you, or at least all of you know about compound interest. And we can treat it that way, in the sense that we must put in the work, but then when we prioritize our rest, our results are compounded. Now, apart from sleep extension, I'd like to talk about one's circadian rhythm. It's impossible to talk about sleep, but not one's circadian rhythm. That's basically a fancy way of saying when your body wants to go to bed and when it wants to stay awake. And it's actually quite interesting that you can manipulate this so that you can achieve different goals throughout the day. For example, did you know that most world records for sports that require high power output are actually broken in the early evening, whereas sports such as gymnastics, which require very fine motor skills, are actually favored in the morning? So I want you guys to take this piece of information and you can adapt your schedule so that you are best performing in that time of day. Some of you may be saying, how am I supposed to get my circadian rhythm in check if I can't even sleep well at night or I'm not sleeping enough? Well, my solution to you is quite simple, that you should nap. And this is often perceived as something quite childish, but napping can actually reduce slow wake activity, which is when you feel sluggish, unproductive. We all know this feeling when we get home from school. And if you sleep for less than 30 minutes, once you wake up, you'll feel active. So it's been shown that slow wake activity reduces immediately, and sleep pressure, so long-term wanting to sleep, is also reduced slightly. Whereas if you sleep more than 30 minutes, so let's say you take a nap for an hour, that's particularly effective if you have something to do late in the evening, because it reduces sleep pressure, but you might wake up with a bit of drowsiness because slow wake activity actually spikes after sleeping for more than 30 minutes. It is impossible for me to cover everything there is to know about sleep in these short 5 to 10 minutes. And I'll leave you guys with this thought. I want you guys to really think of who you want to be in 2027. So who you will be when 2026 draws to an end. What would you have accomplished by this point? What do you want to be proud of when you look back on this new year? I want you to dream it when you go home tonight and live it by day. Thank you.